Welcome to that 80s show with the most 90s song I think I've ever heard. What I Am by Edie, long name, blah, 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 and the Bohemians.
Edie Brickell, come on. That is such a good song, and I haven't heard it in so long. And it's so deep, man.
It's
deep.
So when you send me that song to say, right, this I want to play the song, I was like, but this is a 90s song. And then, okay, no, 80s song, and more than that.
Not even late 80s.
No.
Not even late 80s.
Exactly, 1986. But
yeah.
That song must have had a revival like in the mid-90s. It must have been in a movie soundtrack or something because it had a lot of radio play mid-90s.
Yeah, I think it was in a movie, but I cannot for the life of me think which movie.
So, Hold My Beachies, Dori. Remember Beyond 2000, the TV show?
Oh, yes.
Oh my God.
Loved it.
I don't know, whatever country you're listening to this from, it used to show here, because it was Australian, I think. And it used to show here on a Sunday afternoon. And it was like you're like, what are we going to see on Beyond 2000? Like, they had, they'd show you things that like cell phones, and they'd show you like talking watches, and what? Flying cars, electric cars. So they were very on the cusp. Everyone loved Beyond 2000. But I found something featured on Beyond 2000, but this clip is from another show, The Home of the Future, right? So this show, 1989, predicted the home of the future, right? And I'm going to show...
This sounds so familiar.
Oh,
okay, yes.
Okay, right.
It sounds very familiar.
So I'm going to play you, there's two clips. We'll post both of them up on that 80 Show SA Facebook page. I'm going to play you the shorter clip. Listen to the technology, 1989, that these guys are talking about.
That's a television there, huh?
Well, this is a concept of a TV of the future. This combines two different technology. Flat screen technology, in terms of allowing us to make the unit very compact in its size, and also high definition TV in the sense of getting very well-defined pictures. The idea is that this would be a flush unit that would fit against the wall and was very maneuverable, but you can always position it away very discreetly when it's finished with. And it's linked directly into the raceway.
Now, Mark, with all these systems, how do we control them? Do we have a lot of these little infrared controllers like we currently do with our VCRs and so on?
Well, we think systems are going to become very much more important in terms of the way you control the whole environment within the home. Let me introduce you to Dennis Arsenault, who can talk to you a little bit more about the systems within the house.
Now, I have to pause there because when you watch this video, all due respect to Dennis, I don't know him. He is the nerdiest person I've ever seen. The first guy you heard talking there, he's obviously like the front man, right? He's like slick, polished. They're both wearing terrible suits. But Dennis is a guy who I don't think he's seen the sun, in this case, probably since 1983. Back to the home of the future.
Okay.
Nice to meet you, Steve.
Dennis, can you demonstrate some of the systems within the house?
Sure. Voice command.
Good morning.
Now, who is she?
That's the voice of our computer. She's tied in through the house, and she recognizes only the voices of the homeowners.
So only your voice?
That's correct.
Well, what else does she do?
Let me show you. Evening party.
Awkward.
The evening party lighting mode is now set.
That's incredible. She's dimmed the lights. She's got music coming through these loudspeakers. And amazing. What else?
Privacy mode.
Now closed.
That's amazing. She's closed these blinds here. Well, what else does she do?
Security report. Security report.
The security system is now disarmed.
That's amazing. I hope she doesn't call the police on us, too.
Call the police.
The police have been called.
That's an amazing machine, but you can see real practical applications for somebody who's handicapped.
Absolutely.
Well, does she cook as well?
Not yet.
Remember, misogynistic 80s.
I mean,
The main guy that started talking in the beginning, actually, I noticed he looks a lot like Tim Curry. He's showing this flat screen TV with two speakers on the side, white casing.
Yeah.
The cynic in me suspects that there was probably a person controlling all these things. Whenever dim the lights, someone actually like dimmed the lights. You know, we don't look like fools on TV.
Oh, no, I don't think they actually made the technology. Surely not. I mean,
it's called conceptual.
It was all theatrical, right?
But the best part, I mean, he said this is an amazing machine. Obviously talking about Miami Sound Machine that was playing in the background there when they said body mode.
I did notice that.
So that's the home of the future that was featured on This Old House, not Beyond 2000, the show called This Old House. I think it was the American version of Beyond 2000. Oh, did you notice how that woman, the woman's voice, the assistant sounded like Alexa?
Okay, so here's the thing, right? Chances are all the technology we do have today, like Alexa, was based on that video. You know what I'm saying? Like, people went, oh, that'll be cool. Let's make that. It wasn't a huge coincidence.
Yeah, I think,
right?
Because you know what, like geeks and everybody watched these things or watched sci-fi and said, imagine that for real. And as the technology came, so it's kind of like the imagination willed it into existence.
Yes.
No, I'm with you. This other one, it's a bit longer. I won't play it, but it talks. It's like this whole smart home scheduling. It's an early idea of an internet. Obviously, they would have had within Microsoft an internet, but it wasn't public facing at the time. And it's just all foreboding. But what it always brings me down to, Dori, is where's our hoverboards from the best Back to the Future? You can have smart homes.
Where's our flying cars?
We got it all.
Flying cars.
Well, you segue beautifully into the next thing. We've been speaking about this for a while. The DeLorean. The DeLorean, okay, is back for real now. So the story about the DeLorean is fantastic.
Did the Taliban get their DeLoreans?
Nobody knows. Nobody has heard from John DeLorean's son. The story is that the DeLorean, I mean, it's a fantastic story. It's basically a very elaborate Ponzi scheme. It really was. He fleeced all his rich friends to fund his company. John DeLorean then got bust. He was trying to money launder cocaine for it's just a wild story. The DeLorean then gets revived in Back to the Future, and the reason they used a DeLorean is they were going to use a fridge as a time machine, but they thought, nope, that's not good. Children will climb into a fridge, and we don't need that. And then they stumbled on the DeLorean because they said, we need a lot of cars that are cheap, and we don't have to pay a lot to the manufacturers to use them. So they stumbled on the DeLorean. The DeLorean company then gets chopped up into different pieces. Earlier this year, we tell the story of DeLorean's son, who's now taken an order from the Taliban to make DeLoreans for them.
Exactly.
But the DeLorean looks like a utility vehicle. Like the back was cut off. It's terrible. It's like if you had to build a DeLorean.
Not the same.
No.
Not the same at all. No. Horrible.
Yeah, it's like my first DeLorean project that you put together in nursery school. But in amongst all this, the DeLorean is actually getting released as an electric vehicle. And earlier this week, the actual stories come out, right? It's called the Alpha 5. Okay, it was teased earlier in the year. It's ready to go into production, ready for people to buy it. It's got the same name, but it's no way linked to the DeLorean Motor Company from 1981. They've just kind of taken the idea and they're just launching it under the same name. But this car is beautiful. It's exactly what you'd expect the modern DeLorean to look like. So kind of like if they had to make a Back to the Future 4 and they had to revive the DeLorean in the imagination, this is what they'd make. Have you seen the photos, Dori?
I have looked.
It's kind of like, looks like the DeLorean and Kit had a baby because it's got that, that same red light.
Well, and also, I mean, Don Johnson's car from Miami Vice, his Lamborghini as well, has to be in there somewhere.
It has to be in there. Listen, we all know there was a little dalliance on the side because Don Johnson's Lamborghini is not sitting down with any old car. You know, he's a man about town. He's got lots of other cars to see. So he's not taking responsibility for this offspring, although he will send it a card on like milestone birthdays, 5, 8, 10, 12. And then teenage, sort yourself out.
Here's my question. After Back to the Future, did the DeLorean become like a like really popular car. I mean, here, no, obviously, because, well, I don't remember I don't even know they had them here. But maybe in America, was it like, oh, I really want a DeLorean? Like, has it ever been, you know, that like dream car kind of vibe?
So by the time it was Back to the Future came out, the car was out of production, so you could only buy old models. But because of Back to the Future, it's super desirable. Like you see all the time, people who've bought a DeLorean and basically like built it up to movie spec. There are a couple in South Africa. There's definitely one here. I saw it at Comic-Con a few years ago, and the guy's got the A-Team van, he's got Kit, and he's got the DeLorean. Okay, so he's got replicas of those.
But that's special.
That's
special.
Like
a special thing.
I don't think anyone would have bought it other than like Back to the Future nerds, right? Because or fans of the Taliban and lunatic families. Like I think that's the only two markets for the DeLorean.
Okay.
Price tag is $125,000.
Yo, that is a lot of money for a car, but it's beautiful.
Disappointingly, it reaches top speeds of 155 miles an hour, not just 88. Something happens a few weeks ago. Dori and I, off-color joke about Patrick Swayze, leads us to Don Swayze. Leads us down this rabbit hole of should we start looking at movies and film recommendations featuring the lesser-known siblings. Okay. Dori was very studious, recommended a film featuring a lesser-known sibling, Don Swayze. Last week, inadvertently, I recommended Staying Alive, the sequel to Saturday Night Fever, featuring Patrick Swayze himself. Okay. We put the photo up earlier this week on our Facebook page. But Dori, in movie recommendations this week, have you stuck to the theme?
Dude, I have not only stuck to the theme, I am winding the theme up this week, because after what I say this week, there's going to be nothing more to be said about the lesser-known siblings.
Oh, my word. What is waiting?
I'm winding it up, from my side at least. I'm winding it up. In order to do this, I do have to cheat a little bit, but it's worth it. I actually want to mention two things this week. One is a made-for-TV movie, and the other one is a TV series. The TV series is the main crux of the matter, but in my search for something to talk about, I did happen upon something which I think I have seen at some point, but I wasn't like willing to delve too deep into it. I do just want to mention it because the description on IMDb of this film is the thing of amazement. I mean, obviously it's written by a user, not like a real person.
Right.
Not like an official movie person. I'm going to read the description of this made-for-TV movie, and then I'll tell you what it is and who's in it and what it's about. The description. Skip Lewis is a 16-year-old who's been through some stuff. Like he has been having academic problems, and a girl whom he has been pursuing has told him that she has no interest in him. She tries to talk to his parents about this. Sorry, he tries to talk to his parents about this, but can't. Or thinks that they won't understand. So he goes out and drives off a cliff. Now his family's in denial. Yep. Well, carry on. Now his family's in denial, saying that the whole thing was an accident. However, his best friend Ken, who was the last person he saw before, was told by Skip that he was considering killing himself and is feeling guilty that he didn't try to stop him. Okay.
Oh, that's a lot.
Okay, so this is clearly one of these made-for-TV movies that they used to make that was almost like PSA-type movies, where they dealt with drugs or all sorts of things that teenagers might need to be dealing with. And then they make a movie out of it to, tell a story and convince people not to do certain things.
Sure.
This is a TV movie from 1984 called Silence of the Heart, starring as Skip, Chad Lowe.
Yes. I'm so happy. Yes.
Wait.
The lowest of the low.
Guess who stars as Ken, his best friend, who feels guilty that he didn't try to stop him killing himself?
Emilio Estevez.
No, but you're so close. It's Charlie Sheen.
Who is the lesser?
Who is the lesser? Let's go within the 80s. Emilio was probably the lesser. But now who's the lesser?
Yeah, it all turns around.
Okay. Anyway, I just wanted to mention that. And like I say, I'm not telling you to watch it. I certainly haven't watched it. It definitely sounded familiar to me, though, when I looked at it. I was like, I've definitely watched this at some point in my life on TV, probably, on an afternoon.
Yes.
What I want to talk about this week, Paulo, and I thought this was a fever dream. As we were going through this whole wonderful running gag of the Lester siblings, I had this weird memory pop up in my brain that there was a show that actually literally did exactly what we're doing, which is making fun of the Lester siblings. And I was like, no, it was a fever dream. It wasn't real. And then I did some digging and it's real. And I probably watched maybe 1 or 2 episodes of the show. It was on TV here, but it wasn't really very popular. And I remember watching it and thinking, it's not really that great.
Okay.
I found a bunch of episodes on our favorite dodgy site, Internet Archive. And I've only managed to watch a bit of the first episode, but I was right. It wasn't a fever dream. I'm going to read to you from the Wikipedia page for the series, which did come out in 1999, which is why I said I'm cheating. This series is not set in the 80s, nor did it come out in the 80s, but all will be revealed. Do you remember a series, Paulo, called Movie Stars?
No.
Exactly. It's so obscure, right? And I think it came onto TV here, and I remember watching it, I think, with my mom, and we were like, it's not that great, and we kind of gave it up. I am regretting that decision now because let me read you the synopsis from Movie Stars. Movie Stars is an American sitcom television series that aired from 1999 to 2000. It stars Harry Hamlin and Jennifer Grant as famous Hollywood actors trying to raise their children. They lived in a fancy house in Malibu, California, next door to Tom Hanks, who was never seen. So you never see Tom Hanks, but they're always kind of looking out the window and going, oh, there's Tom, or,
right.
Tom's digging in the garbage again.
Okay.
So it's like Tom Hanks is the running gag of this show.
Okay.
They have 2 children, a son named Apache and a daughter named Moonglow. Okay.
Right.
And there's even a part in the first episode where the son complains about his name, and he's like, why do I have to suffer? Because you were friends with Kevin Costner. So that's a whole reference to Dances with Wolves and Kevin Costner saying, you should name your son Apache or whatever. I haven't reached as far as finding out where Moonglow is named from, but that's clearly a ripoff of Frank Zappa.
Sure.
I mean, it has to
to be, yeah.
Also living with them, so now Reese is the main guy, played by Harry Hamlin. Now, Harry Hamlin, you remember, is from LA Law, right?
Yeah.
I'm going to have a few little, what do we call circles in this chat. We're going to get back to LA Law. Living with them is Reese's less successful brother, Todd, and Laurie, who is Reese's daughter from his first marriage. And then they've also got these other kids, right? Listen to this. This is on the Wikipedia page, and this is why we are talking about this movie today. A running gag is that Todd's poker buddies were the real-life, less successful brothers of John Travolta, Patrick Swayze, and Sylvester Stallone, playing fictionalized versions of themselves. Let me explain. It is really, for real, John Travolta's brother, who I think is Joey, if I'm correct, Joey Travolta, Don Swayze, and Frank Stallone are playing themselves in this TV show. I have put a link for you to have watched. You're going to have to scroll through to a certain place.
Yeah, John Travolta's room, please. Hey, John, it's Joey. Yeah, listen, I was wondering if you could lend me your brother. But don't give me that crap. You know it's me. What password? What do you mean, how did I get this number? I'm your brother. Hello?
Yo, Todd, whose arm is that?
Oh, my brother's. I cropped him out of the picture.
You're taller than him.
So what? I'm taller than my brother, Sly. I can sing, and I definitely got better hair. But it doesn't matter. He's a star, I'm not. What are you gonna do about it? Fear me, Donnie.
Sure, John won't take my call now, but last week, he's calling me, begging me to fix a speeding ticket for Kelly.
Why would he ask you for that?
Well, he's convinced I'm in the mob.
Why?
Well, every time I'm on the set with him, all the Teamsters know my name.
He lets you on the set?
right, I gotta say something here, you guys. You know, Patrick's not just my big brother, he's my best friend. I love the guy. And I think, underneath all this sarcasm, you guys love your brothers too. Get a hobby. Todd, I called you.
What do you think?
So John Travolta's brother is a hell of a lot older than him.
But there's definitely a resemblance.
Oh yeah, huge. I mean, no. So,
I didn't even know about this brother, but yeah.
So this show is like from 99, 2000. So John Travolta's brother looks like John Travolta looks like now. So he looked like then what John Travolta looks like now. It's always so funny. You know why this like lesser brother thing is, right? Because they look like in any other walk of life. So take like, they got Frank Stallone and then they got Don Swayze, right? In any other walk of life, Don Swayze is like super good looking. But because we have Patrick Swayze, he's like he looks like fake. Like he looks like someone like misdrew Patrick Swayze. It's the same with Chad Lowe. Like, yeah, he's a good looking guy. But he's not Rob Lowe. That's what I love about it.
Right? By the way, Joey Travolta is now 71 and John Travolta is 68. There is only 3 years between them.
No ways. You see, that's what that Scientology life's going to do for you. That's the trade-off.
I mean, him and Tom Cruise. There must be something to it, right?
That's the trade. Listen, we're just speculating. We're not answering that question. But I think that's the trade-off. So movie stars. How long did this run for? I'm sure you said, but like.
Oh no, very, very short. 1999 to 2000. I'm trying to even see how many. There was 2 seasons with 21 episodes. One was unaired for some reason. And I mean, the tenuous link to the 80s is Harry Hamlin, who was in LA Law, which did run in the 80s. I wasn't really a fan. I never really watched it, so I've never really mentioned it. But that is my tenuous link.
No, the link to the 80s. The link to the 80s is the smorgasbord of fake brothers, Don Swayze, Frank Stallone, Joey Travolta. I mean, come on. That's a Rob Estevez, Joe Estevez. Who's Joe Estevez? Oh, that's interesting.
Joe Estevez.
There's a Joe Estevez here on this India. Oh,
I have no idea. That must be coming up still.
Okay, we need to get to Joe Estevez. But Dori, I got to tell you, we've got to put a link here. This internet archive is the most fascinating thing. It is so fascinating. It's so many things, so much shit on here.
Yes, I'm going to make my way through movie stars now because I have to say, like, what I have watched it, I was like, I'm enjoying this way more than I definitely enjoyed it when I first watched it in probably 1999.
So that is Dori's movie stars and I even forgot the name of the first thing you said. What was the first made-for-TV movie we must not watch?
Something with the heart. I don't know. I don't know. Something from the heart.
Don't watch. You know,
find it again.
You know what? I think we can draw a line under this like lesser known siblings thing, because
that is me bowing out of it. That is the end for me.
You have found the holy grail of. I mean, this is like if this was the episode of the A-Team, I'd be smoking a cigar right now because it's like I've completed my mission. I think we have spotlighted them. And they're probably like wondering, they're probably going, why is suddenly people searching my name? They're like looking, because they sit in front of their computers all day. Oh, who's Googling me? Let me see how many. Oh, no one Googled me today. And then suddenly it's like, why every Friday are people?
Is someone from South Africa Googling me?
Don Swayze. He's like, what is happening in South Africa? Why suddenly? They found my porno. They found my porn. This is what happened. No, Don Swayze. It's us. It's us. Bring you back to relevance. So, Dori, my movie this week. Is there a sibling link? Yes, there is. But anyway, a few weeks ago, spoke about Kevin Savage, star of The Wonder Years and of groping fame. Inappropriate behavior. Yes. He of inappropriate groping behavior. He was like the it kid at one stage because he was super young looking, but he was very mature. And that's what you always struck you about him. He was very, very mature as a kid. Wonder Years, they go, you know what? We got to get this guy on the big screen because he's going to make his breakout. Now, in the 80s, I mean, I don't know if we've spoken about this before, but the reason there were so many cartoons based on action figures, which were action figures that needed cartoons to sell, is because in the 80s, there was a new law passed about the way you advertised to kids. Well, basically, you couldn't, right? They would that's why there were so many series, is that a toy manufacturer, we got to sell He-Mans or we got to sell Thundercats, whatever. We can't make ads, so let's make 30-minute, 23-minute cartoon series about them. It then extended into movies because we've spoken about Mac and Me, right? The kind of
yes.
E.T. spin-off. And the reason his name was Mac is because McDonald's funded the movie. Okay, first days of branded content. McDonald's paid for it. Pretty much every key scene in that movie happens in a McDonald's, if you didn't notice. Not to be outdone, Nintendo gets in on us. They go, hey, we're the behemoths. They didn't feature us in the home of the future, but like, we're serious. We're going to fund our own movie, right? Nintendo, and a Japanese company, but breaking through in the United States. Every kid has or wants a Nintendo. We're going to fund a movie. So they fund a movie, which for a kid's movie has a very dark start, right? So there is a kid who's not the Kevin Savage character. His name's Jimmy. And he's kind of like, he's had a very traumatic, he saw his sister drown, right? It's a kid movie, right?
Yeah.
Opens up, he sees his sister drown, and he kind of like goes like completely stressed, post-traumatic stress, doesn't really talk, but he finds refuge in video games, and he's like this like genius, brilliant video game player. And then the story starts, he's friends with Kevin Savage, okay? And they now go say, listen, you're the best video game player ever. We're going to go to the World Video Game Championships across the country so that you can win whatever. It's prizes, money. And just like come out of your shell. Because like we feel you need this because you're a really good guy and we want everyone to see what a great guy you are. So it's a road trip movie of where they have to now, their parents won't let them go and say, well, we're taking Jimmy and off we go. Along the way, they meet Bo Bridges for no reason and Christian Slater for no reason as well. Okay, not playing themselves, but yeah, this is 1989 Christian Slater. So we know this is hunk Christian Slater. And off they go. And they're traveling across the country, and it's a road movie, and they meet a whole bunch of different weird people along the way. The movie is called The Wizard, okay, because Jimmy's the wizard. He's the video game wizard.
Familiar.
Yes, it was
familiar.
Total flop. No one understood it at the time. It's become a cult movie because obviously as video games has become like kind of a big thing, people are like, oh, this movie was so brilliant. It features like, I mean, if you're into your like early video games, Ninja Gaijin, that's one of the games they played. And then Super Mario Brothers 3 is another game. That's the tournament game. They went to play Super Mario Brothers 3 in the tournament. Fun fact, along the way, they meet a truck driver who takes them most of the way and is quite a big part of the movie. The truck is the same truck from Sylvester Stallone's Over the Top. I mean, how about that for a bit of trivia?
Okay.
Okay.
That's pretty cool. Pretty cool.
The best part about the movie, though, right? And you can hear and read so much about this. Around this period, Nintendo released an accessory, an add-on to the Nintendo Entertainment System. Like you remember with Nintendo, they had that little gun that you could play duck hunt with, right?
Yes, yes.
They released something that they thought this thing could change video games forever. It almost killed and sunk Nintendo. Okay, Nintendo's like been one of these like almost perfect companies. They've been around, they invented video game, and they're still around. They just keep coming up with new consoles. They got this property in Super Mario Brothers. It's just untouchable. They like never make a bad decision, right? Except for this accessory called the Nintendo Power Glove. Have you ever heard of this story?
Oh. That sounds like something sexual. Sorry to hark back to the behavior of last week.
No.
But
hashtag big.
Okay.
No. Dori, we're not going back.
We're not going back.
The innuendo Power Glove. No, the Nintendo Power Glove, right? So, God, I remember this. And let me tell you my story about the Power Glove. One of my best friends.
Oh, God, do I want to hear this?
God, what is wrong with you?
Just tell me if the story involves you wearing more than your underwear. That's all I want to know before we start the story.
I never got to wear the glove, but yes, I did wear more. And you know what? I just wanted to read you here a line about the universal backlot. But I'm like, you know what? Let me not even put that word in your head. So this Nintendo Power Glove, a friend of mine growing up, his father was one of the buyers for Macro, right? Macro is kind of like I think it's even owned by Walmart now. It's basically our version of Walmart. And he would often get stuff that never went on the market. So they'd go get stuff, see, is it viable? Can we sell it here? Would there be a market for it? And we'd see things in his house that like were never for sale because the father would get them. And one of the things he had was the Nintendo Power Glove, but it didn't work. It was just like a demo thing, right? So he had this Nintendo Power Glove that we saw, okay? So it is what it is. Right-handed glove, okay? You slip it over your right hand. And it had on the one side, well, it was only one side, a Nintendo controller, okay? And then controls with the effect that you could go, you kind of like looked at your wrist. And it was very weird because it was right-handed. You looked at your wrist where there was a Nintendo controller and you could either play the games the normal way, which like to play a two-handed thing with one hand was weird. But the concept of it was supposed to be motion activated. So the theory was this Power Glove plugged into your Nintendo, and then when you jumped or did certain hand movements, now imagine Super Mario Brothers, when you're jumping to hit the coins, and I'm doing the motion right now, you can imagine what it looks like, right?
I am imagining something for sure. Yes.
Okay. So now you can start understanding why it never worked. It was just a ridiculous concept. It was so stupid, even for 80s technology stupidity. But it featured in this movie, and they were like, this Power Glove, it has a big reveal with this Power Glove, and they're just expecting kids are going to stream out to go buy this Power Glove because of this movie, because it's probably the smartest thing we've ever built. Completely bombed, completely flopped. The games didn't work. It was just sucked. It was just a terrible, terrible invention. They spent millions on it and didn't sell anything. Subsequently, a lot of people who grew up in the 80s have found old ones and like remodded it and like turned it into something for something else. Probably porn, as it usually is.
Right.
But there's like loads of mods. Like if you look on YouTube, like Power Glove mods of what people have converted this Power Glove into to do other things with. So it's got that kind of like cult post nostalgia type thing going for it. But it all got revived in this movie, The Wizard. People hated it. People hated The Wizard at the time. Like I say, video game culture was a little bit weird. Video game movies were a little bit weird. Had Kevin Savage. He didn't grope anyone, but there is a very uncomfortable grope moment in the movie, which just would not fly nowadays.
Was it using the virtual glove?
No,
groping with the virtual glove?
Fortunately not, but I can tell you right now, that is what 99% of the glove's usages are for. People down in the metaverse groping each other.
Exactly.
Also, a young Tobey Maguire is also in this movie. He's one of the kids at the video game championship in the end. Doesn't speak. He's just there. He just happened to be there. And that is the movie The Wizard. There's always been talks of a remake or a revival of it. Never really happened. A character called Spanky. Just to keep our minds in the gutter at the Universal backlot.
I said nothing. Nothing. You heard nothing from me.
2 new kids on the block. Songs on the soundtrack, Dori. Just for you. Just for you.
So now, hang on. Who's the lesser sibling?
No one. Kevin Savage has got a lesser sibling called Ben Savage, who was in Boy Meets World. Does that count?
Yeah.
No.
No, I think I win this week.
I'm sure Christian Slater's got a brother, Michael Slater, works at Pizza Hut.
But they're not in. Oh, Bo Bridges. Bo Bridges is the lesser sibling.
There you go. There we go.
Oh, saved by the bell.
Thank God, Dori. Jeez. Almost got through.
Nice one.
So that is my movie, The Wizard. You can either watch it or you can go play Super Mario Brothers 3. That's your choice. And then Dori's TV show recommendation from the 99-2000, but featuring a lot of brothers of 80 stars. So she gets a free pass.
All you need to do is type movie stars TV series into the Google, and you will be taken to the glorious Internet Archive, where you can watch, a bunch of episodes.
And other things. Other things.
And lots of other things, yeah.
Once you start trawling around that, I find a fun fact, Dori. I'm going to go into Wham Corner now. I mean, obviously it is. When they released Wham Young Guns in Mexico, I mean, Pistoleros Jóvenes. That's Young Guns. That's Young Guns in Spanish. Pistoleros Jóvenes.
That's lovely.
I'm so happy. Young Guns in Mexican Spanish. Pistoleros Jóvenes.
It would be Jóvenes. Jóvenes, because it's Jesus. When it's a J, it's pronounced with an H. So it's Pistoleros Jóvenes.
There you go. Welcome to That Spanish Show. Live every week. Top Gun Maverick. Have you seen it yet? We haven't.
No, I'm not opposed to seeing it. I'm just probably not going to go see it on the big screen because I haven't been to movies in years and don't know if I want to. But I've heard it's very good.
Tom Cruise's highest grossing movie ever, which I mean makes sense because things cost more. But Tom Cruise's biggest, but I mean even in the time Mission Impossible
converted to 80s currency.
But I mean Missions Impossibles. There's so many of those, so many of Missions Impossibles. He's done all of those. But one thing that I've not heard them recreating, no one's ruined this for me, is there a volleyball scene or the equivalent of a volleyball scene? Because we know you can have all your IMAX baiting, aeroplane swiddling, doing things. Volleyball scene, is there one? So ahead of the release of Top Gun Maverick, they asked the USA Today asked members of the men's Olympic beach volleyball team to break down and critique the volleyball scene from the original Top Gun, right? Now, you know that scene almost got the whole production of Top Gun shut down because in the script, it was just a paragraph, right? We're going back to the original Top Gun, the volleyball scene. It was just a paragraph. There was no explanation. It's the team get together and play volleyball, right? That's how it was described. They spent so long filming and so much extra budget that the studio were like, you have no control of this movie. Now you're spending days filming the scene. Okay, we're shutting the whole thing down. You're fired. We're kicking off the movie.
It's not a volleyball movie. What the hell are you doing, basically?
Exactly. And they were like, okay, well, we don't know how to film it. Let's just do porn. Like, we're going to plan just like do a porn. And that's like so iconic. Fantastic Kenny Loggins track to go with it. Here's some of the critiques from the men's beach volleyball team, right? So firstly, what they're saying is that their hand setting is all terrible. They say the way they have their hands, you're not hitting the ball the way that hits the ball. Plus, you're contravening some of the rules. So you're going to get blown up. Okay? These guys are super intense about beach volleyball. They can't play. So this is proper critique. Tom Cruise is playing in jeans. How can you play in jeans?
I mean, I agree with that. I mean, you shouldn't do anything in jeans. But the point is, they're not pretending to be professional volleyball players. They're just some pilots letting off some steam.
This is what I'd say, right? Because that's exactly the thing I'm reading. Because, of course, they talk about the jeans. And listen, I don't care what you're doing, what walk of life. Jeans on the beach. So it's not just jeans, it's jeans on a beach. I mean, that has got to be, if you are a human being that can have jeans on a beach and deal with it, you're not a human being. Go back to your planet. Go back with Mac and me to there. Just go away. They say Tom Cruise was ashamed of his legs or something. Like he didn't want to wear shorts. Oh, do you think Tom Cruise has any shame? Do you think about what you just said? So you're quite right.
Maybe he thought wearing jeans would make him look taller.
They critique guys playing pilots pretending to play beach volleyball. They critique them. It's like, okay, but beach volleyball guys, could we put you in a plane and would you be able to do things like that? So it's just clickbait. I mean, the shame of some people talking about Top Gun Maverick just to try get some more clicks or listens or views of their content is disgusting. This rambling piece with no point, just for the SEO, Dori. People are as shameless as Tom Cruise.
Well, we have to do something now that the Johnny Depp trial is over.
Well, thank God for Stranger Things. Thank God. Because that's where I'm going next.
Welcome to that algorithm show.
So again, Stranger Things season 4, so huge, right? And this does often happen.
I haven't even started.
Okay.
I haven't started.
You don't have to.
Don't give me any spoilers. Okay.
You can't avoid this spoiler, right? I'm going to spoil with some songs. I'm not going to spoil what they're about. I'm going to spoil with some songs.
No, that's fine. That's fine.
This is an absolute running tally because the beginning of this week, there is a song used in Stranger Things, an 80s song, Kate Bush, Running Up That Hill. You know the song? If you hear it, you know it. A fantastic, amazing song. Forget about it. It's way too deep and emotional for us to ever play on the show, right? But it is a phenomenal song, Kate Bush, right? It's a running tally because the beginning of the week, it was the 4th most streamed song on Spotify. It's probably the most streamed song. I haven't checked it today. I mean, we're talking like we're probably, by the time you hear this, we could probably be looking at close to 2 million streams in a week, right? Stranger Things came on last Friday. It's Friday. It's like probably looking at 2 million streams. It is the thing on Spotify right now. Okay, so people are just discovering it. We saw a month or two back, a Nirvana song that was used in the Batman movie just blew up. So Kate Bush, Running Up That Hill, used in Stranger Things, and it is just like blowing things up. At one point, 153% increase in streams. It's like on the top of everything on Spotify, right? So I got to ask.
You know, this warms my heart.
Yes.
Oh, sorry. Do continue. No, I'm just saying it warms my heart to imagine like these young kids watching Stranger Things going, there's this really cool new artist named Kate Bush. Oh my God, you got to hear the song.
I know, right? I know.
But they know it's from the 80s, right? No, do they not? Do they know it's from the 80s?
You know what? It doesn't sound from the 80s though, actually.
Exactly.
She
was way ahead of it.
She really was. It doesn't sound like it's from the 80s. Now, the previous Stranger Things episodes, seasons, obviously blew up for Limahl and Never Ending Story, right? Over the time, when it featured in Stranger Things, an 800% boost in YouTube searches when it appeared in Stranger Things. Limahl was very touched by its resurgence. He was very touched.
Yes.
Okay. Now, the thing for me is, now I've been watching, right? Because there's a couple of other songs in Stranger Things, and I wonder if they're going to get the same treatment, because other songs that pop up are Talking Heads, Psycho Killer. It's a 1979, but I'll give it till 80.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, we will, because it got played through the 80s. It really did.
I love that song. A fantastic song. Love it.
Me as well.
Dead or Alive, You Spin Me Round. No, that's good. I mean, come on.
You know that's one of my favorites. You know that.
Needs to come back. Okay. Or Musical Youth's Pass the Dutchie.
Oh, God.
Which one is next? Or is there something coming up? Something new? I haven't watched the whole season yet. Is there something else? Another song. But that's what, you see, as people are like wondering. I read a lot of things lately wondering, is the 80s nostalgia resurgence over, right? Because we know the cycle. Because obviously people now are making decisions on pop culture, are in their 30s and 40s. They're the decision makers. They love the nostalgia. Nintendo Power Glove, sure, let's bring it back. Is it a porno? Fine, it's okay. We'll bring it back. But now we're starting to see kids from the 90s. Are we about to enter into a 90s revival? Right?
Oh, probably. Ugh.
Probably.
No, I don't mean that. There's lots of great stuff from the 90s.
Hey, listen, we could one day just pop up. Like, we know the most popular episodes of this show have been when we did that 90s show and when we spoke to Hathaway. That's our most popular episodes. Look, probably also has to be
Chesney Hawks.
And Chesney Hawks. So who knows where we go, Dori? You don't know.
I mean, technically, my TV series from today's show was from the 90s.
I mean,
so let me just keep quiet right now.
What can it all mean? So that 80s show, of course, not just a audio experience. We've got a Facebook page, that 80s show SA on Facebook. If you're looking for anything, some of our episodes are starting to post up on YouTube. So that 80 Show essay on YouTube. Oh, and an Instagram. I'm going to get the Instagram right this week, Dori, because, oh my God.
Oh my God.
Like, listen, you may be listening to this and go, you know, Paulo and Dori, they sound a little bit something. Hey, what's up this week? That _80s show. So it's 80s, 82 S's show, right? That's our Instagram. Barrett, the chart savant, doing a fantastic job on our Instagram. Such a fantastic job. He's no stranger to our Instagram, because guess who looks at our Instagram story yesterday? This is verified. Blue tick, Rick Astley. Hasn't followed us yet, but he's looked at our Instagram story. It was a post about the heritage chart. I'm not sure if he is on this particular heritage chart. Maybe that's why him or his people were looking at it. But Rick Astley knows of our presence.
Yeah. Well, whether it's him or his people, I cannot risk him hearing me perving over him. So I'm going to stop doing that from now.
Oh.
From now, I'm going to be completely professional when we talk about Rick Astley, because what if he's listening and that'll like put him off ever talking to us, because he'll just be like, oh my God, crazy stalker fan, cannot talk to these people.
I mean, you've kind of answered my next question, because I was like, do we bait him? Knowing that him and his people have seen us, do we catfish Rick Astley and just post shitloads of Rick Astley content on Instagram? Do we rickroll Rick Astley? Do we do it?
I say we do it. But
But look, of course,
yes,
Rick Astley.
Yes, we do it.
Yes, we do it. Rick Astley's not the only 80s star that knows about us. Loads of interviews. We've been speaking to tons of people, going back to Gary Kemp, Expand Our Ballet, through to Thomas Anders, who, after we featured him on our podcast, he launched his own podcast. So I don't know if we inspired him. He went, if those idiots can do it, anyone can do it. I don't know what it was. Susie Quattro. Susie I, not Susie I.E. Learned that lesson the hard way. Interview up with her. EMF. Just loads. Just that 80 Show essay. Just search it. Men Without Hats. The Christians.
If you want to learn what safety dance is all about, you need to listen to Men Without Hats.
They tell us what it's all about. So all those interviews plus the regular show. Dori's foul mouth is always somewhere. Whatever you want, Dori.
You know, can I tell you something about my foul mouth from last week's show? Last week's show was the most response I've ever got from people like, oh my God, your show is so funny. So that's my new gig now. I'm just going to be the foul-mouthed one, because best response I've had, have to tell you.
So you know the market. You know the market. And I'm sorry that I dragged you down. Great show. Love the dirty mouth. Lose your other co-host. Dori, have you learned anything valuable from this week's show?
Well, now that you say valuable, I really did find that whole House of the Future thing quite interesting.
That was good.
That, I learned something from that. I learned that they were planning Alexa's voice very, very, very long ago. That's what I learned.
And I just had a thought in my head. Imagine the perfect hybrid, a collab of Beyond 2000 and Lifestyles of the Rich and Famous. Joint show. Lifestyles of the Beyond 2000. Heard it here first. Thanks for joining me, Dori. Goodbye.
Bye.